So, last night we saw Tenet.
Aim it and pull the trigger. You're not shooting the bullet, you're catching it.
Whoa. Well, I've seen too much. Well, we'll try and keep up.
Connor, what's the plot of Tenet?
Tenet is a spy thriller that is basically about these time-bending bullets that shoot in reverse. At least that's the start of the plot. As it goes on, it turns out it's this whole conspiracy where there's this element that'll reverse time, and essentially Robert Pattinson and Denzel Washington's son are trying to stop this from going down. They team up with some military guys led by Kick-Ass, and I'm not really going to try to give anything else away. So, Aiden, what did you think of Tenet?
Well, it's a Christopher Nolan movie. It's kind of sloppy in places. Let's see. I feel like the concept for this movie came when Christopher Nolan was like, guys, I have an idea. I want to make action scenes that are really cool, that have some stuff moving backwards. And then he made it.
That's pretty much how every Christopher Nolan movie seems to come to be built.
She's like, I thought of a really cool action
It's
scene.
like, what if this guy wakes up every day, but he forgets the day before, so he has to tattoo himself with the information?
Yeah.
Or he's like,
Christopher Nolan.
what if they went to space and
the
like on the
ultimate ideas
planet?
guy.
Yeah, basically.
But despite that, the coherence is stunning. For a Christopher Nolan movie, this is probably the most coherent plot he's ever made. Outside of maybe like Batman Begins.
Right.
Not even Batman Begins. So.
Well, Batman Begins, the thing about it is that's a very straightforward plot. I guess Dunkirk is another one that's pretty straightforward, just because that's like a historical epic. I haven't seen The Prestige, truthfully, but
But the plot is, it's straightforward and followable despite all the weird shit going on. There are some times where you might be like lost for a second, but they do a pretty good job of keeping you up, which is good for Nolan. That's not something he's always able to accomplish.
right.
I was thinking about it, and this movie kind of feels like the logical end game of Memento. Like, this is the same concept as Memento, just done without the segmenting. Because Memento's two halves of the story working backwards towards the middle. And this is kind of the same. Like, there's the future people doing future stuff that we don't really see.
There's definitely the DNA of Memento and Inception in this.
Yeah, it feels kind of like the logical endgame of both. It has extremely well done action, really weird action. It makes it really fun.
Really well shot and really good set pieces, as
Yeah,
you'd
as
expect
always.
from Christopher Nolan.
You know, very, very well shot, very nice looking, very, very cool action, weird action. I like all the actors in it. I mean, everyone does a good job.
Right.
I've got absolutely no complaints there. I don't want to spoil too much because I think it's really cool and I like it a
It's
lot.
probably like the only genuinely good movie that's come out this year.
Probably. Even if you're not a Christopher Nolan fan, which I'm generally not, you'll probably like it because it's weird and it's coherent and followable and fun. There's a lot of times in the movie where I just kind of had a dumb smile on my face from all the fucking
Crazy shit.
crazy shit going on.
Well, I also liked the concept where, like, Christopher Nolan does these crazy set pieces all the time, as we know, and with, like, the time-bending concept. So, basically how the time travel works, I don't think this is much of a spoiler. It's not really time travel, but you can go into this machine from the future, and if you go in it, it'll basically reverse time, so you'll basically travel in time backwards. So
Yeah,
there's a point near the end of the movie where I don't want to spoil anything, but there's an early set piece that's really cool, and then they kind of revisit the same thing in reverse. And while I thought it was kind of predictable that they were going to revisit it based on the original scene, it was still really cool to basically see the other side of that set piece a second time. And the fact that he was able to maintain it where both the first and second time you're seeing it, it feels fresh and really fucking cool. That was really impressive to me.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, the action is just wild. It's weird. And the parts where forward-moving people are interacting with back-moving people, and oh god, it's just shit's fucking wild, back and forth and all over the place.
You could tell a lot of it was really precise effects too. Like when the cars, there's a point, this is in the trailer, so I don't think this is much of a giveaway, but there's a point where they have like cars that are moving in reverse during this chase with like cars that are moving forward, and it's really cool.
Yeah, the way everything manages, despite how weird it is, to come together and feel natural despite being so fucking weird, and how all the pieces of the plot actually fall into place in the end, unlike, Interstellar, for example.
Right.
Where everything manages to come together coherently. The action, despite all the moving parts, usually makes sense, comes together coherently, and looks weird and cool. Shit is, it's good, I like it.
Yeah, and there were a handful of twists in this movie. Again, I don't want to give them away for anybody, but like the final twist in the movie, you probably could have seen it coming, but I still thought it was well executed and everything paid off really well. I really liked the Captain Phasma girl is in it as like basically like the wife of an arms dealer, and I really thought her segments were pretty interesting.
Yeah.
She did a good job. She seems to be a pretty good actress when she actually has something to do, unlike in the Star Wars films she's been in. So.
Anyway, what did you think of the movie Tenet?
As I've kind of alluded to, I thought it was really good as well. This is probably my favorite movie of the year so far, though there's still time for it to be overtaken. But no, it's really impressive. I don't think I fully hate any Christopher Nolan movie except The Dark Knight Rises that I've seen, at least. I still haven't seen The Prestige, but I've seen the other ones. And, you know, like you said, this kind of seems like the natural progression from, like, Inception and Memento. Not that it, like, picks up on those stories, but it's kind of like another extreme idea that he came up with. And just the technical skill it took to pull off is really impressive.
Yeah, I can't even imagine how much pain in the ass
it keeps you really immersed. And one thing I like is with time travel, you know, it's really easy to pick apart. And if you want to hate any time travel movie, you easily can, because time travel doesn't make sense. But in this film, since it's just kind of reversing time, well, you kind of have to suspend your disbelief, obviously, to believe that that's possible. It doesn't really cause a lot of holes, and since it was pulled off technically so well, you know, if you can suspend your disbelief that that's possible, which I think if people can suspend their disbelief on, like, superheroes being possible or other things, it's not too ridiculous to believe for, like, a science fiction concept, then I think it was incredibly well executed. As always, Christopher Nolan had a really good opening scene at that opera house, which kind of thrusts us into the plot and kind of introduces us to our main character. It's really high energy, it's really intense, and just that energy continues throughout the movie. It's long and it has a lot of exposition, don't get me wrong, but it keeps it at a good pace, and when there is exposition, it's really interesting lore and world building and helps you kind of solve the puzzle. which I think is similar to Memento. Well, there are some awkward dialogue moments. It's certainly not Interstellar or The Dark Knight Rises bad. I think that's attributed to the really good acting. I think a big problem with like The Dark Knight Rises is first off the corny and shitty dialogue, but also you're either putting bad actors on the screen or good actors in less than stellar positions with less than stellar ideas. Like, I think Tom Hardy's a fine actor, but in that movie, when he has his fucking Bane costume on and they fuck up with his voice. Right. That kind of makes him sound ridiculous. This movie didn't really have that problem with me that much. I don't know how well it would do. Like, I feel like this is definitely a movie to watch on the big screen. Like, it's a very cinematic experience. Like, I feel like I'd enjoy it on the small screen if push came to shove and I missed it in theaters. But I would say make it a priority to see it in theaters.
IMAX if you can.
Right. I think the action scenes will hold up. I don't know if this is... Like, I feel like it's going to have to be a while before I rewatch it. Maybe I could get, like, one rewatch in right away, but... Anyways, Aiden, would you recommend this movie?
Yes, I'd recommend Tenet. It's got good action, it's followable, it's really weird, and it's also basically the first thing that's came out in like 10 months. So Connor, would you recommend Tenet?
Yes, I would. It was a pretty good time. It had a lot of good action, good set pieces. For Christopher Nolan, it was pretty well, pretty good dialogue and stuff, pretty well written. And it's a technical marvel, so I very much enjoyed it.